Hello everyone, apa khabar? Welcome back to FPL Jedi Show. We are now in Gameweek 31 deadline stream and we are looking forward to the team news and press conference from the managers. My name is Hafiz and I'm joining by Azmin. How are you today morning?
Good. I'm good. How are you? Ready to go?
Yeah, for sure. We have plenty to cover because we are preparing for Game Week 31, of which there are some strategy like myself who are going to free hit in 32, and I'm definitely going to use my transfer this week. If not, my transfer will be burned because I'm free hitting in Game Week 32. And for yourself who are not
Yep.
free hitting, you might have a different strategy of who to bring in or maybe save your transfer for this week. All right. I think before we start, okay, would like to welcome Rakan FPL to the stream. He's already here and posted some question. Let's recap the game week 31 fixture for this week. Let me adjust my screen a bit. Okay, and then we can see here the game week 31 fixture starting with Aston Villa versus Newcastle. That is the early kickoff for game week 31. Both teams are really on form. Aston Villa, especially Watkins in the team, and then Newcastle actually make a 2-1 win from Brentford. And then we have 10 p.m. matches. There will be 5 matches. Chelsea versus Brighton. Chelsea, Lampard first match in charge as the interim manager at home. Okay, and then we have Everton versus Fulham. We have Southampton versus high flying Crystal Palace 5-1 again Leeds last week. We have Spurs versus Bournemouth, another London derby, and then we have Wolves versus Brentford. We then have the anticipating Man City versus Leicester as the late game today. Okay, plenty for us to see whether there are team news from Man City camp. We then have Sunday matches, West Ham versus Arsenal, and then we have Forest versus injury hit Manchester United. We shall see the team news. And then on Monday night, Leeds United versus Liverpool. Let's now kick in, main the first team news from Aston Villa versus Newcastle camp. What's the managers has been saying?
So the biggest news really is about Bailey. Okay, so now also injured, and if you know that previously it was Bailey and Watkins who were pretty much the front two, with Bailey playing just as a sometimes as a partnership, but mostly behind Watkins. And it was always a good, you could argue that he was good value because he is almost out of position, but then he just didn't have the uh, pro- he didn't have the production that we would have liked, and Watkins is still the one hogging it all. Yeah, so in Bailey's place is Bernard Traore. However, that does mean Buendia is pushed up further. It's not Traore who's going up, so Buendia pushed up, so it makes Buendia another interesting option. Having said that, it is against Newcastle, and as we know, both are in good form at the moment, and Newcastle are chasing Champions League. So it's really tough to counter, because I think a lot of people have Watkins and Trippier, so it'll be very interesting to see how that pans out. On the Newcastle side, so we got Almiron, who could be back, but at the same time, Saint Maximin has a I don't know. It says there's a hamstring injury, but then it should be back next
Oh,
week. Is that real? We know ASM's has
pretty
the
much
his
the same story for SM.
exactly. So it's a tough one, and so but I guess the biggest question is Isaac or Wilson, and a lot of the hype seems to be favoring Isaac as the first choice striker, not Wilson. In light of Wilson's injury issues, but we could still look at seeing them both play up front together. It's not inconceivable.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do think the lineup that the scout has, that's the correct lineup. So you could, but will there be a lot of points here? I'm not so sure.
All right, I think pretty much Aston Villa and Newcastle confirm, and we will definitely see a strong lineup from both teams. All right, next match is Chelsea versus Brighton. My club. We have concern in terms of Chilwell not playing last week. So what has been the managers been saying about this match?
So as we know, in the Champions League, quite a few eventful things happened. Chilwell got sent off for is it it's tactical red card in a way, but if you look at the replays, it appears that the whole screw up was started by Cucurella in the first place. Yeah.
Mhm.
Having said that, it does look like it's going to be tough for Chelsea. Uh, so you would expect them to look into just, I don't know, having a decent match, decent finishing in the Champions League, in the league. So it just looks hard right now with Chelsea. You know, they don't look like scoring. You know, they don't seem to have a real proper goal scorer anymore. And James is in and out, in and out. Yeah. So and of course with a new manager, who knows? We still trying to figure it out. And the biggest problem is, of course, Kepa versus Mendy. So there are a lot of arguments now is that Kepa and Lampard, they previously had a falling out, always having tiffs. They don't like each other. But previously, um, Lampard still continued to play Kepa, but the argument is that Kepa might, because of the short turnaround time, they might use it as an excuse to fuel Mendy instead. Having said that, Lampard in his press conference did say that he sees no reason to change anything. So there's still hope for Kepa owners, but hopefully you do have a backup keeper if he suddenly decides to not start Kepa. So Brighton, he was the manager was a bit mysterious this time around, not actually giving too many things away. But he did say no big injury news. We don't not that's true. It's not so sure what he defines as big. Yeah. So, but again, it's a case of figuring out. And I think a lot of people still have the same problem of which Brighton
Yep.
player to bench. But I think Brighton will win this one. It's just trying to figure out which one will is the one who will produce.
Yep. As you can see, there's in terms of prediction lineup, Chelsea could actually make a really a lot of changes as they still has a chance, so called, in the Champions League. You can see that Mendy could feature Azpilicueta. Okay, and then Koulibaly will be out for weeks. That has been announced by Lampard. Then Thiago Silva might actually be rested for the Champions League game. Then you can see Chaloba and even Bernard should actually start in defense. There
Mm.
is no reason, if you want, if I can mention about Chilwell, for Lampard not to play him this match, because Chilwell will not be able or will not be available for next week Champions League. So there is no reason for Lampard not playing him, but like you mentioned, is still uncertain in terms of lineup. And pretty much others, we are not sure. Aubameyang could start this game just to give rest the lack of Sterling, Havertz, or even Felix, right? So I think there will be a lot of changes for Chelsea side, but they should be able to at least compete with Brighton. But we know Brighton has been really on form, and they should be able to play their own game with the lineup. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Everton versus Fulham. I think Everton's really in the better or for relegation, but Fulham pretty much we can say at the beach. But what's the latest news from both team?
You know the irony of us arguing that Fulham is on the beach. Guess which other team is on exactly the same points as Fulham? It's Chelsea. So so you can't,
Oh,
so are Chelsea on the beach as well? That's a tough one. So anyway, yeah. So the fact that Fulham do look like they're on the beach is a pretty good hope. Gives pretty good hope for Everton to actually get points out of this one. You know, 3 points
yep,
now goes a long way in jumping in the table because it's so
yep,
close at the back down there. So if Coleman is not too long but won't wait this week, Patterson could replace. But you know, he did mention that he doesn't have enough match fitness, so you could still see Godfrey and Michaelenko as the fullbacks. Uh, yeah, I think that's the only major news. I'm not even going to talk about DCL. But as Pickford, of course, is the one person who's who's really helping Everton to try to stay up. On Fulham side, yeah, no, nothing new either. It's just the case that again, Vinicius is going to be the person up front who's nowhere
Yeah.
like um Mitrovic. So yeah, it's a chance of a clean sheet, and for Everton. And I'm just going to check on the fixtures. But at the same time, Everton are at the third bottom from the fixture ticker at the moment. So
Mhm.
it's not like
Mhm.
you want to pick players against playing them anyway. Uh,
Okay,
no.
so basically Everton do not double anytime soon, but Fulham will in game week 34. But who you gonna pick? Maybe Pereira as a cheap enabler, but in that midfield, you're gonna be back with a lot of double game week players in 34. The like of Salah, the like of Brighton midfielders. It could be one of the Manchester United asset. Grealish come into picture. So really tough if you want to fit any other assets than those team that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay, so to the next one, Southampton versus Palace. Southampton still at the bottom of the table, so they really want points from this game. But Palace is a tough night. So what the latest news for Prom team?
But this one's funny because there's a lot of hype going on about how Crystal Palace is under Hodgson. So, but
Yep.
it, I'm not convinced. If you look at the first half between Crystal Palace and Leeds, it was Leeds were arguably the stronger team, and the problem was that Leeds. It seems to be Leeds. There's a mental issue there because when Crystal Palace scored the first goal, and then Leeds just seemed to crumble totally.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's where that's why I'm not so convinced because okay, so now you got Southampton who are arguably they're at the I can't remember are they at the bottom at the moment?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're at the bottom. So even if and so Palace are fortunate they against a team that's even more mentally not there at the moment. So because even if Southampton do win this one, they will still remain in the relegation zone. So
Yep.
it's a big task for them. But they are playing at home, so if they want to get points, this is the place to be. So
Yep.
you could, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud in terms of the um, possible picks because Ward Prowse could be a really good option here. And it could be useful for the future as well because maybe not playing all, but he's okay. I'm just checking at the fixture ticket. Southampton at number 5 in the fixture ticket list. So in the next 6 games, they play against Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Forest, and Fulham, all winnable matches. Well, yeah, arguably. Of course, they play Arsenal and Newcastle away, and those are probably giveaways. Yeah, but the rest it gives them a chance to stay up. So, plug here. What trials now?
All right. I think there are some interest in Palace. You could go easy or even Odyssey. Okay, but pretty much there's nothing that we can report from here, mate. Next one we go Spurs versus Bournemouth. Okay, I think this is the one more exciting because I don't know, maybe people are thinking whether to keep the likes of Spurs asset, especially Kane, and Bournemouth also attracting if you want to go cheap asset. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Right. So, um, Stalini is got sent off. Let's remember that.
Yep.
But Richarlison, he's not convinced that he'll be ready yet. Yeah, so no real changes. You got Son who did score last week, and so the lineup for Spurs will be pretty much it. On the Bournemouth side, so surprisingly for Bournemouth, they have pulled out of the relegation zone and they are now on
Okay.
15 on 30 points. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's I definitely didn't see that. I pretty much wrote off um Bournemouth already
Yep.
for the season, but they've
Yep.
surprised me and they've come back.
Yep.
So will this be an easy match for Spurs? I don't think so. I feel that it's tougher than it looks, even though Spurs are fifth. Um,
Yep.
it's probably be a 1 goal margin and to either team. at the most.
All right. Okay. I think that's for the team. Let's go to the next one. Wolves versus Brentford. Wolves high flying because they won against Chelsea last week, but this is a different opponent against Brentford. So what's the latest news for both teams?
Okay, so Wolves. No injury concerns as well, aside from who's that guy? Um, who's the guy who's suspended?
Neves.
Neves, yes, yeah. So it's always him. The problem is still him that he's suspended, which does impact. Having said that, Wolves have been holding their own. They're actually number 13th at the moment, so it's just quite decent. But Brentford, of course, are in much better shape, and again, no, so that Pontus Janssen most likely not feature again this season. So the so this is a long player with Brentford, and it looks like not only will not feature again this season, he's also not renewing. He won't stay at Brentford, so he's going to
Okay.
leave. So we won't see him at all.
Okay.
So but the team's got to move on, and Brentford are in a good shape, and it could be a tough one. And I think for FPL picks, we got people are looking at Raya as lots of saves again away. And
Yep.
I don't know how many people still have Tony, but if you do, you probably keep him if you have no fires.
Yep. Yep. I'm one of them. I still have Tony. All right. And then yeah, he will definitely play this game. We hope he will not be cautioned. If not, he's going to miss after this for the next two games, and then people will definitely a lot of transfer out for Tony. All right, let's go to the next match, which is, yes, I think this is more interesting, man. Man City versus Leicester. We want to know if, let's say, any Man City assets are in danger of any rotation. So, what's the latest news for both teams?
If you're asking me if whether anyone is in danger of rotation, okay. Edison locked in, Haaland Gundogan locked in. Anyone else? I'm not sure. At least where the picks are. So yeah, so of course the Grealish issue, right? Yeah, so you would think that he would play. There's no real reason to think that he wouldn't, and he is in good form. Although Pep has been known, even people with good form that are not invincible to him, except but we
Mhm.
know but then Haaland. So the question is whether or not Haaland will play given his return,
Mhm.
and will he give them a rest? I don't think so. I think he's fine. I think Pep will do the same approach, which is
Okay.
play Haaland
All
for
right.
and sub him off early if there's any concern there. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so more importantly on the Leicester side, so now we got Barnes out, and that just hurts them up front. Um, Again, it's still the jury is out as to whether Leicester is without Rodgers can still do anything here.
They will have a new manager, Dean Smith, on their touchline.
Well, oh, so he'll be there already. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So obviously they'll I don't know, is it a damage control style mentality? But because which will be frustrating because Leicester do have some good attacking players there in terms of Madison, Nacho, and Vardy. Um, but it's still too much to ask for the team, and City should waste this easily.
Okay. We can see there stated that about Phil Foden. He will not be anytime soon to return to training. But the irony, for this week, also people who are having medicine. The swap is actually to Grealish. Can you imagine in this game, Grealish blank and Madison did score in this game? That could be. You just never
It
know,
is,
right?
yeah, yeah, because Madison can score against big teams. That's not a problem. And I think the other dilemma was Madison to sell for Grealish or Rashford to sell for Grealish. And I think if you had both, then I think you'd want to sell Rashford regardless. Yeah.
Right,
Um,
Azmin did mention we should be don't worry about Haaland or even Grealish and to play this game. But we all know about Pep, right? He can just do anything uh,
yeah.
surprising to us,
M-
even though
Yeah, my only concern with this particular game is that City, if they score like say 2 goals in the first half, they might take the handbrake off in the second
Okay.
half. So that's the only concern I have.
Right. Let's go to the next game in, which is West Ham versus Arsenal. West Ham still in the competition of European Conference League. They managed to get a draw in that game, but now they're facing against Arsenal, who are desperate to bounce back from last week draw against Liverpool. So, what's the latest news from both team?
Okay, so to be fair, David Moyes had a short turnaround, so he's not, he didn't really reveal much away. He just hopes everything is okay, and we don't, yeah, we're not sure. And but of course, the good thing is that um, uh, they are playing at home. But at the end of the day, it's a London derby, and the other problem that West Ham have is that the midweek they traveled. They had to travel to Ghent. So definitely that's going to factor in against an Arsenal team who's fighting for the league and are well rested. They did not play any game midweek. So I expect Arsenal to trash West Ham, and I would dare say as we're looking at 5 to 6 goals here to Arsenal. Yeah, West Ham are decent at home. I mean, the defensive stats have not been bad, but if you look at the pattern that I've noticed, that
Mhm.
against against the teams that are not that strong, they do a good defensive job, but against the stronger teams, they just collapse. So they just not equipped to deal with it. So I expect it trashing. So for Arsenal side, so Saliba's not ready, so that's okay. So we still got Holding there. Uh, so Nketiah is fit, but will we see him? No, of course we won't. If you would want to make a shake-up in the lineup, which I don't think there'll be, it would be for Trossard, not for Nketiah, because Trossard is
Yeah,
far better
yeah.
form and can do the more damage. So I think I totally agree with that lineup. I don't think they'll make any changes there, given that they don't play a midweek match.
Yep, agree. All right. Next one, man, we go to Manchester United. Team news, man. This is an important one. Got a lot of mention about Rashford is out, but we are not sure in terms of his timeline. There are also news about Shaw and the rest of the team. So, what latest news you can share with us?
For us, no real significant news in terms of changes to the injuries, so nothing worried. FPL wise, it's still be Gibbs, White, and Johnson carrying the attack. And Manchester United side, so there's a lot. I think a lot of traffic, especially on Twitter, has been with regards to Manchester United. And we saw in the Thursday match, yes, that and then the press conferences around it, Rashford wasn't fit, but Ten Hag was mentioning that he's hopeful that he might have a chance for the return leg for against Sevilla. So
What's that mean? What's that mean? A chance,
so
hopeful. What's that mean?
theoretically, that will mean that he won't be available for this week, of course, and next week, of course, um, Manchester United blank. But midweek they play Sevilla again, and if he's not ready, then he might play in the FA Cup.
Yep.
Yeah, but will he? Yeah. And I don't know. At this point in time, I'm not trusting Ten Hag at all with regards to Rashford because without a doubt, Rashford is the key attacking asset for Manchester United. There's no doubt there. So I can accept if he's going to be a bit mysterious or not trying to reveal everything about Rashford to keep his opponents
Okay.
at bay.
Yep.
Yeah, and he has to think long term as well. So yeah, Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw should be fine. It's just that the problem now is that Manchester United is a bit ravaged. So you got Varane who's also out. It's not mentioned there. So you got then if Shaw's back, then he slots into the middle and Malacia comes in. Malacia's not that great. Then if you look at top, you got um, Sancho there with the absence of um, Rashford. The good news is, of course, that Casemiro is back, and that will definitely improve Manchester United's chances of a clean sheet. But attacking wise, it doesn't look great. There's also Martial as well, but from the comments by Eric Ten Hag is trying to, I think he said something like needing to be very careful with him. Well, of course. So yeah, he wouldn't be a great pick for FPL anyway. There's no point picking him only to have him not play the next match. So yeah, he may well score. And I'll call it now. I think Martial will score in this game, but it's just not worth the FPL transfer.
Okay. Worth mentioning, I think I did share with Azmin offline. Uh, in terms of Forest record at home, they have been scoring in each of their games so far this season except one. So you can see that in terms of potential clean sheet for Manchester United may be affected. And you can see that in terms of their defense, Varane might be out. I think another news, Martinez is potentially mentioned out for the season because of foot injury or fractured metatarsal to be exact. So that's going to take some time. If that's the case, then looks like Shaw, if let's say he's fit, coming into the centre back pairing with Maguire or Lindelof, depending, and Malaysia on the left side. So I think that's pretty much the news for Manchester United team who are going to affect
Oh,
the
just
whole.
yeah, but just I just wanted to highlight though, Sabitzer's ability to score goals. So
Yeah,
obviously United blew it in midweek with
yeah.
two own goals, but the two goals scored by Manchester United were both by Sabitzer, and it's quite telling when you look at that. You got Sabitzer playing ahead in this
Mhm.
particular lineup. You got Sabitzer playing ahead of Bruno Fernandes. So
Yeah.
could
I think
Sabitzer?
Sabiza is also a nice option to explore, and if he continue to do that, I think
Yes,
he could be a decent one. But
yeah.
yeah. But
So
are
that
we
was
worried about Eriksen coming back to the frame and he might actually have some managed minutes? It could be, but we are just
I
unsure.
don't know.
But
Yeah.
Sabiza,
So yeah, it does. Sabitzer and Ericsson maybe instead of Sancho, but then it does. That left. That's yeah. But
okay, okay. I did check the price of Sabiza. If I'm correct, he's actually
mahal lah.
uh
I thought
4.7. Ah,
yeah, cheap chips.
cheap, cheap, cheap.
So of course we not probably buy, but let's say he does score in this one, then game week 33 after the blank, then because Manchester United do double. Yeah.
Yeah. I think another one that we can share also about Shaw, you did mention, but he's not pictured in training. But I think more likely he will be back soon. That I think that's the case.
I hope they don't rush him back.
Yeah. All right, last game, which is Leeds versus Liverpool. Also, there's a lot of attraction from Liverpool assets, especially you're not free hitting in 32. So, what's the latest team news for both teams?
Yeah, so a lot of the theory is that if you're not free hitting, then definitely you need to bring Liverpool in. But where Leeds are concerned, no real changes um, in terms of the line, in terms of injuries. So it's pretty much the same. But of course, the risk is that they're going to look at altering the lineup given how they buckled against Palace. Anyway, it's good for news for Liverpool, and I think it will help because Liverpool away's form has been poor. But if Leeds are themselves are in constant flux, you could argue that it's important that Liverpool score the first goal. So once Liverpool score that first goal, we might see another collapse. Which on the Liverpool side, so again we're wondering, is Diaz going to start the game? So we're not sure. So I think he might have a chance at starting this, but the problem is Gapo has been decent, and Nunes has, but we know that Nunes is I would say that Nunes is a first choice. So Diaz might come in as a super sub, as a impact sub. Yeah. Uh, but there's also a lot of speculation going on with TAA.
Mhm.
Whether he might actually play in midfield, given there was quite a lot of
Okay.
interviews. Yeah, and if he does, that means Gomez will. Gomez, of course, is a better defender than TAA, playing at left. But it's a nice fantasy to have, but don't cross your fingers that Klopp will do it so quickly. Maybe next season might be a more regular thing. Um, but the other issue, of course, is that we got news that Allison and Konate didn't train. There were 2 days that they didn't train, but I don't think it'll be an issue. I think they'll be back based on these recent comments.
All right, pretty much. I think the people that are going to think about Newcastle is definitely Salah and Trent, and to an extent Nunes. I think he should be back in the team soon when he fit. All right, man. Let's go to the transfer traffic for game week 31. Yeah, I snapshot this at 6 a.m. Malaysian time, and the most transferred in, I think this is not a surprise, which is Jack Grealish. He has been scoring back to back 12 points, and 708,000 managers has believed he should be in the team for game week 31. This also coincides with Rashford out for this week at least, and that's the traffic. I think the obvious replacement that people are looking at. The second most transfer in, also another alternative for Rashford out, is Martinelli, who 458,000 managers has brought the Brazilian midfielder in. We continue to have Haaland traffic in at third place with 300,000 managers. Olise, whoever thought Olise in the conversation? Crystal Palace do have decent fixture moving forward. 204,000 managers have believed he should be in, and then Mings. Okay, Aston Villa asset, but this week against Newcastle, tough match to us. And top transfer out, Rashford, no surprise, have been declared out, and without real timeline to return. Is it 1 million manager? Yes, 1.3 million managers has brought him out. We then have Shaw. People are not taking any patience anymore about Shaw. Uncertainty, 383,000 managers has brought him out. Madison at third place. And then we have Saliba continue to out. And then Tony. I think maybe because if you do not have Haaland, Tony is the road to coming in and take a hit from a midfielder. So what do you think, mate, about this transfer trade? Jack Grealish.
Yeah, so it's really clear that a lot of managers have pretty much accepted the fact Rashford's not going to be back that quickly, and they don't mind paying another transfer to get him back later on, say in game week 34. So looking at the amount of Rashford transfers out is a 1,300,000 plus, and that's pretty much Grealish plus Martinelli with a bit left over for Olise. So Grealish is clearly the overwhelming favorite. So a lot of people managers clearly aren't worried about Pep's rotation, Pep's spinning wheel. But I think the Martinelli that definitely bears some looking into. Although they don't have any doubles, obviously, yeah, but they do play in game week next week, and I guess more of the people who are transferring in Martinelli are the ones who don't have a free hit available for game week 32. You could look at it that way. I'm
Yeah,
not one of
yeah,
them, of course,
yeah,
because I already have Martinelli, but yeah, I think that's the case.
yeah.
Olise, I mentioned I'm not convinced by Palace, so I'm not there yet.
Okay, right.
Um, the thing with Palace is that even though they look like they were terrible, they are on 33 points, so they're not in a totally desperate position. So maybe find that bounce back. Let's see whether there's a real long term effect on that team, or it's just that first bounce back thing. No, 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 no. The only thing I want to point out with that transfers out is that Madison transferring out, which for me is still odd, and I just can't see it. Is it because they're just looking for a better choice and picking up Grealish? Maybe, but I do feel that if you have a chance to hold to Madison, he is key to Leicester's survival. So if anything, it's going to go through Madison. So if I had Madison, I would have just kept him for now. Yeah. They blank in game week? No, they don't blank. They don't blank
They don't
either.
know, but they do not have any double game week coming up.
Yeah,
That's
but I mean, after this week, they play Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham. These are all good matches for Leicester. So I'm not convinced of that with the transferring out.
all right, man. That's the traffic for us to think about. If you're still not sure what to do about this transfer for game week 31, you can see there and choose your option. All right, man, just a quick one in ban list. We know that Casemiro and Dewsbury Hall will return back to the side for this game week 31. And then the band player Mitrovic continue his suspension, 5 matches. We have the Correa there, Lucas Moura, Neves, and Johnny. Yeah, I'm surprised I missed out him last week. He actually also on suspension. And in terms of suspension race table there, Tony still there. What else you can see there? Madison on it, yellow cards, all right? Pereira, and I think that's pretty much the rest people are not concerning. So anything that you want to shout out?
Nothing really. It's just that Tony continues to hang out in the night cards and continues to sell me, don't sell me. So
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that's it.
One, he live one more day, right? So next one, just take a shot in terms of game week 31 posts in Fantasy Football Scout. In terms of Rashford, keep or sell, 65,000, 55% of managers mentioned that selling is the thing that they're going to do. This word from 2,400 voters, okay, and 34,000 mentioned that keeping. So that's pretty much the trending. Then in terms of captain pick for this week, Haaland definitely 63,000 managers believe he is the one from around 3,000 voters. Kane, the second one, if you want to go differential or you do not own Haaland, I think Kane the next second best captain pick for this week, and then Salah. So, anything you want to mention about this, man?
Yeah, not so much on the Rashford thing. I think we covered a lot of that, but I guess on the captaincy. So it's interesting how there's a few plopping for Watkins despite them playing against Newcastle. Um, but Grealish is come on, you can't go to that point that you'll Grealish over Haaland. But Salah. So this is the biggest dilemma where Salah is concerned, because obviously playing Leeds, but the problem is Liverpool are playing away, and of course the question as to whether Salah is still the penalty taker, that's still up in the air. So we don't know what's going to happen there. And if Salah's not taking it, who is? Arguably, Fabinho is a popular option. There's Henderson, but uh, would which is quite disappointing FPL wise. Because if it was someone like Nunes or Gapo who would be stepping up, then definitely pique interest. But we don't know. But at the moment, they don't appear to be the favorites. But Nunes, one thing that managers might do is to help instill confidence in a striker is to let them take penalties, and maybe
Yeah,
that's what he needs for Gapo. So we don't know.
yeah,
Other than that, yeah, Kane is definitely the better option. They play at home against great, yeah, Burn,
Bournemouth,
Burn,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So definitely I can see that.
All right, man. We go to our team. I think we go to your team first. I have a snapshot here. This is your team from last
Yeah,
week. What you
yeah.
thinking?
Okay, so it really is just about well, two things really. Um, One is who do I feel Shaw or Chilwell, and at the same time, should I sell for another player if I'm not confident of either of the two starting. So that's the main thing, you see. Uh, the popular consensus is that Chilwell will start, so you should just keep with him. But at the same time, I'm not. It's just that will he actually get anything out of this? Yeah, obviously he's taking a lot of the set pieces, which is great, but Chelsea themselves are in poor form at the moment. And given that case, there is a case for me to sell him for someone who also plays in Game Week 32, and I'm looking at someone like Zinchenko or Ben White if I want some funds. And okay, so that's one dilemma. So after that, okay, so I got Raya, TA, Trippier, Chilwell, Salah, Saka, Mitoma, March, Martinelli, Isaac, Haaland, Kepa. Okay, so Kepa versus Raya, I'm gonna start Raya. I don't know I just lost faith in this Chelsea. What's going on there? Um, Ferguson, Shaw, Emerson. So the question is, should I start Ferguson? I don't know.
Mhm.
And if I start Ferguson, it should be for Isaac, arguably, whose starting status is a bit like Ferguson's. Yeah, because everyone else there, Salah, Saka, Mitoma, March, Martinelli, are all confirmed starters. So it's not so inevitable, and I think I want to play all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'll need to make a call on that one. But the other issue that also I need to bear in mind that I still have my bench boost. So
Mhm.
whoever I want to transfer in, it needs to be someone I can utilize during probably game week 34 and get points out of it. And that's where Emerson is the issue because he didn't he started in the midweek against Europa, but he didn't start in the league. So I need to figure that out. The other problem is I only have zero point 0.1 units left in the
Okay.
bank.
Yeah. So you're inclined to make a transfer for Chilwell, is it?
Pardon?
So in your mind right now, want to transfer out Chilwell.
Chilwell, yes. At the moment, Chilwell. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Um, yeah, that's it.
Chilwell for who?
For probably
Chief
depends if
Zinchenko, right?
yeah, either Zinchenko or White. I need to
Okay.
decide on that one.
All right. All right. I think that's the best move because you are not going to free hit, and then you can take advantage of favorable fixtures of course for the next two, West Ham and also Southampton at home. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go to my team. Okay, my team is like this. Raya, I will play Raya over Kepa. I think the same justification that Azmin did mention there. I have Estupinan, Trippier, and Chilwell right now. Okay, and then I have Mitoma. I have Grealish. Okay, I mentioned I already made my transfer, which is Rashford out for Grealish. I actually going with the template or the traffic right now. I feel I'm pretty much confident that at least Grealish, if I'm bringing him in, is for the remaining of the season. I don't think he'll be out from my team unless something happens. And Grealish on right form and at home against Leicester, if he plays, maybe he will deliver another big haul. It could be.
Mm.
So I decided and thinking about Rashford again. Rashford timeline is is a mix, right? It is still I'm not sure about the timeline. Ten Hag, like you mentioned, that with his words. He mentioned out for a few weeks, then later he might be back soon. I'm not trusting him for now. Bruno is still there, and Saka. I will play Saka for this week, and then we'll think about transferring out moving forward. I have Watkins there against Newcastle. Pretty much he's on form, but Newcastle still a strong side. Tony, I'll give him because he's still not yellow carded, and Haaland pretty much Captain Amban will be with him in, and if he's not playing, then Saka will come in as the vice captain. Pretty much what else that I should be thinking? Maybe about Chilwell if you want to transfer out him -4, but yeah, maybe for Man City defender or Trent, that could be another thinking. But we did discuss offline. Chelsea have two fixture back to back home, excluding the game week 32 because my plan is to actually free hitting game week 32. So Chelsea have both team and looks Chivas should be starting because he will miss the Champions League game. But yes, it's still uncertain. If he did not play, then maybe Henry can come in, and hopefully Chivas will not come in for a one pointer. About Patch against Mitoma, pretty much set with Mitoma, even though much stats is better against Mitoma. There could be argument. I play Henry versus Estupinan. But I feel if let's say Brighton is a better side, maybe they keep clean sheet against Chelsea. You just never know because Chelsea has not been scoring for the past four
Yeah.
games. So I think
Yeah. It looks as though I mean the question now is do you want to because otherwise your other options are to double up on the Brentford defense or double up on the Newcastle defense. And but for either because for Newcastle you also have Watkins there, so
yeah,
that
yeah,
will also
yeah.
mitigate that. I mean otherwise most of it, yeah, I think probably Estupian um is marginally better over Henry, I think. Um although by default I would definitely march over Fernandez.
Okay,
I just
all
feel
right.
that
Fine.
Manchester United they the attack is not as strong without when Rashford's not around. But I do wonder with Fernandez actually, is the because you know how he when he plays he's sometimes the captain, and I do wonder if that is bearing on his ability to score, really, because he's assuming more responsibility for the squad as a whole. Having
Eh,
said that, uh, for this match, you expected Harry Maguire to play, and Harry Maguire, as maybe Manchester United fans can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is still the club captain of
correct.
Manchester United. So if he is playing in the first 11, then he'll have that captaincy. So maybe that takes the pressure off Fernandez, and Fernandez could end up scoring. So we don't know, but that's something I'm speculating. Maybe that's why Fernandez hasn't been as productive.
Another one that I want to point, Bruno still is the penalty taker for Manchester United. We just never know, right, when penalty comes in. So I feel that Bruno still ahead of much. That's my thinking. Okay, man, that's the team. Let's go to question, man. Uh, we go to.
Yep.
All right. We have here question. Uh, talking about Maguire as a punt for this week, man. Would you go to him?
Well, it could be a punt because you're looking at long term, assuming you have a free hit. Yeah. So unless you really have two transfers, don't know what to do, and just or maybe you have, unless your squad is totally fit, and you just want to use a transfer on something, but and you have a good defense squad, all your defenders are good enough to replace. But I'm not keen on Maguire at all. Um,
Right.
he's still.
Rakan IPL did mention about Shaw. What to do with Shaw? Play him? Bench him?
Yeah.
You have him, right? Mm.
Yeah. So at the moment, I'm not going to start him simply because I'm worried. I'm pretty sure that Forrest will score, and um, Shaw and Fernandez will probably share the set pieces lah if Shaw comes back. But I because I might end up still with him by this week, for this weekend, but I might still bench him. So I'm not convinced. Oh, have you disconnected? Oh no. Thing.
Sorry, there's a disruption network.
Disruption.
You can, yes.
All
I think
right.
we go
All right.
question. Next question, which is Havertz to Kane for a hit. Would you do that? Havertz has not been performing.
Yeah, probably. Um, I'm curious to know what the other side of the hit is, but yeah, Kane is he's been consistent. He hasn't been explosive to be fair, but he's
Yeah.
at least he's scoring unlike Havertz.
Yeah. If you don't have Kane, I don't know. It's definitely about your future transfer plan, especially in game week 34. You might need that money for Salah. So bringing Kane for a hit this week and then transferring him out for funding, say like Salah, unless you don't believe on Salah, then maybe you can keep Kane for the rest of the season. That could be another strategy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lampard rotation here, could Mendy start? We just never know. But I think we did read out about statement that he wants to continue about
yeah.
continuation, right, and play Kepa. It could be.
But coming back to that, it's just that your Kepa has a very strong personality. So and we do not Lampard likes it, and we know his
Yeah,
problems
yeah.
on Lampard before. So in answer to your question, Rakaipel, yes, I think he can. I rather just avoid that risk and play your other keeper.
All right, man. Chilwell, keep or sell? For me, I'm keeping him at least for now. But
For me, I'm
Azman
selling.
did mention about selling. Yep. So it's up to you, Rakan FPL, in terms of what strategy. If you are keeping, there must be a reason. If you're selling, for who is another reason. That could actually an option like, why not jump in, man, for Man City defender this week? That could be an aspiration that we can mention
For,
because
for
Man
who?
City
A
don't
City
have,
defender?
Yes, Man City defender gonna double in game week 34. Then somewhere in 37, they have another fixture somewhere there. So you can get the likes of Stones, Ake, Akanji, depending on what you think about City defense. But another point that people also in community did mention, or even Big Mamaka did mention, if you have a Man City defender, you might have Newcastle defender, you might have Brighton defender, then you might want to have Trent and then Shaw somewhere there. So then you will have like dilemma in terms of which one that you're going to play or get in ahead of game week 34. So I don't know about what do you think, mean about City defense?
Um, I probably wouldn't.
Okay,
Um,
fair.
it's just I don't know what's Pep gonna do. Um, yeah, I just can't find it in me. This is assuming, of course, you have a free hit for game week 32, so I think that's not an issue. Um, but we've seen that Pep has. There was like a couple of weeks where managers took certain players and none of them started in the defense. So that
Yeah.
has happened. But the good thing, of course, that City are in a good position to go to the next round of the Champions League, and that's why people are more brave to go, and I can see why people want to do that.
Another point that I want to mention about Man City, they need to win all their league games to have a chance of winning the title. That's another motivation, and Pep should play his stronger side. But
Yeah.
anyway, stronger side is just what we believe. To Pep, maybe like Luis
Yeah.
or
No, no, you're right. Oh gosh, Lewis.
is strong to him, right? Okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, you still want to think long term. Let's say Arsenal win that City match in 33. What will City do then? And that's where I'm a bit worried that So I'm not convinced, and it's preventing me from throwing in chips in us into City, even if I had a free hit.
Okay, next question. For a hit, which one should I bring in this game week? Because he's free hitting in 32 just for this game week and then preparation for game week 33 and onwards. Salah or Kane, yeah? My answer is Salah, I think, because Salah in terms of Liverpool they are on top of the fixture ticker. For
Yes.
Spurs, they do not have any double game week moving forward. So that's
Yes, correct. And of course, the other problem is after Bournemouth, Spurs play Newcastle and Manchester United. So those are teams at the top five of the table. So that's hard. Whereas Liverpool, the next three are just Leeds, Forest, and West Ham. So definitely
okay.
points to
All
be
right.
had there.
This interesting, man. Saka to Martinelli or just keep Saka? If you hmm.
Keep Saka. I don't think. I don't. Okay.
Even though Martinelli has been performing,
Frankly speaking, because I'm at a dilemma because I now plan to captain. One thing that I didn't talk about just now is that who I'm captaining, because at the moment it was on Haaland, but I'm actually looking at captaining an Arsenal player for this one.
okay, all right.
But with the Isaka and Martinelli, I'm not sure. Uh, if if you were not captaining either, I'd say keep Saka. But yeah, but I honestly think that Martinelli will score more given West Ham's ability to concede more chances from the left.
Okay,
But
okay.
Saka, from my understanding, he's still the penalty taker even with Jesus back. So I'll probably keep Saka, but it's a very marginal decision.
I think so. Transferring right now is luxury, right? Unless you have luxury transfer to make and burn, I think you can do it. But I'm not sure about the whole plan for you. But he's actually free hitting in 32. So what happened is Arsenal has said, yeah, you can focus on the form players, okay? But then moving forward, you're going to get some double game week players. All right, man. Keep Tony or take a hit for Kane. Looks like Rakyat IPL really keen to bring Kane in. I just tell
Okay.
you what, just do it. Right, man. But
I Keane was
He is
Keane on eight
desperate.
cards. I can't remember.
No, no,
Um,
no. I think
Brent is it?
IPL is desperate to bring Kane in because he
Yeah.
afraid that Kane hauling against Bournemouth. I think just bring him in.
I've lost. I've lost you.
Mate,
Um,
sorry.
okay. Better, better.
All right,
All right.
man. I will keep Tony if I'm the person, but by all means, Rakyat IPL, just go for it. Okay. Play Henry or Aston. I think this the one that we've been
No,
discussing, mate.
yeah, that's
I
my
think
no
Aston
dilemma.
for the attacking reason, more attacking reason.
Yeah, has to be done for Bizzo.
Interesting question, man. This, I think this will be a question in future. Higher ceiling if you want to bring Salah or KDB, especially for this week, man.
No, Salah is definitely the highest ceiling simply because KDB has Haaland in front of him. So Haaland is the motivation is on Haaland to score goals, and that's the same for Salah. KDB not so much because he has a lot better goal scorers in front of him at the moment. And KDB all season he has not been a great fantasy pick anyway. So yeah, no Salah all the way.
All right, man. We come to the end of the stream. Let us share that Game Week 31 deadline will be at 6 p.m. this week, same like last week. We still have time, but don't overthink until you forgot to make a transfer. But for Game Week 32 free hitters, you will need to make a transfer for this week because you cannot roll in your safe transfer for Game Week 33. I just want to
Yeah.
mention that. Okay, so if you have two free transfer, do it also this week. So I think that's all from me. Me, what's your last word?
All the best. Yeah, obviously, a lot of people have sold Rashford at early because of the worry about the price drop, and Rashford price has dropped twice. I think at least twice since last weekend. So all the best. Hopefully, whoever you made the move for pays off for you guys. All the best, and may all your arrows be green arrows.
All right. Good luck to everyone. Thank you all for watching. And if you're here, do hit the like button and support us by subscribing to our FPL Jedi Show YouTube channel and click on the notification and you will receive alert whenever we are live. All right, man. Thank you all and may the force be with you. Good luck for Game Week 31. Bye bye.